We're going to sketch the function f of x equals log base 4 of the number x on the same axis as the exponential function g of x equals 4 base 4 to the x power, and we're going to find the domain and the range of f. First of all, we need to remember something about the exponential function, something we've already learned. The graph of the exponential function g of x equals 4 to the x power sort of looks like an airplane coming in for a landing from the right to the left. It's landing on the runway, which is the asymptote, and that's the x-axis. It goes through 1 for the y-intercept, and it has a domain of negative infinity to infinity, and it has a range, y values, from 0 up to infinity. Now, knowing the picture of the exponential function base 4 tells us something about the log function base 4, because we know f of x equals log base 4 of x happens to be the inverse function of the exponential function g of x equals base 4 raised to the x. Thus, the domains and ranges are just going to swap. The domain of f is the same as the range of g. It's open interval from 0 to infinity. And the range of f is the same as the domain of g, which is the open interval from negative infinity to infinity. Now also, we know something about the graphs of inverse functions. They're symmetric about the dotted line, diagonal dotted line, y equals x. So if you know how to draw one of the functions, you can figure out how to draw the other. So let's draw them both on the same axis. We'll draw our y-axis and our x-axis. Here's the number 1 on the y and the x-axis. And so here's our exponential function, 4 to the x, y equals 4 to the x. And it's asymptotic to the negative x-axis. Now here's our diagonal line, y equals x, around which these two graphs will be symmetric. We had a y-intercept at the 0, 1. So for the inverse function, we have an x-intercept at 1, 0. And we come in for a landing on the negative y-axis as an asymptote instead of the negative x-axis as we did in the inverse function. And this is our log base 4 of x. If you look at this picture, you can see that this is a reflection about the line y equals x, the dotted line. We get the same basic graph on both sides of that dotted line. So knowing how to draw one should show us how to draw the other.